Okay, time for some controversy. Whenever you're discussing these well-loved Spyderco models, it's never as straightforward as you might want it to be. You'll have to forgive my bench. It's all polluted with fly tying materials right now because it's the end of trout season. My bench is so polluted that I can't even do a little knife review. At any rate, we're going to be comparing the old Millie to the new one. And there's some really positive, interesting changes in the newer model that I think are worth mentioning. You're not really seeing some of these, one in particular. So, all right, here's the old one. Everybody knows it, everybody loves it. It's one of the most ergonomically satisfying Spydercos of all time. This is my 52-100, and you can see it's been on plenty of hunting trips with me. I try to keep it away from fishing. Um, I don't know. It's 52-100 is a little bit corrosive compared to other other steel types. So I don't know. I try to keep it dry. Along comes the military 2 here. And the big change, obviously, that everybody's talking about is the compression lock. And I actually think it's a pretty major positive for the knife. I just like not, same thing with the Manixes. I just like not having to ever bring my finger into the blade path. You can just operate it so easily. It's great. One thing about the Millie that some people might mention, I don't see it come up too often though. Watch the back lock face here. You see that? How much that's protruding? When you're slow rolling it, which is how I open it 95% of the time, you see this? It's not like a detriment. It's just something that I notice ergonomically. That back lock face will come and hit my hand. And sometimes I have to do a little bit of an adjustment, and that's it. It's open. So let's get that to its sort of most protruding point. There, it was right about here. Now let's check out what they did with the Millie 2. You see that? It's not even in the same ballpark. It still exists, but let's say right there, that might be about the most. And it's like an eighth to a quarter of an inch. It's really not much at all. So slow rolling this, which I will probably also do 95% of the time, is going to be a different ergonomic experience. And I think definitely an improved ergonomic experience than this, which is going to come out and hit your hand. Again, it's not like the end of the world. It never kept this from being my favorite 4-inch model. It's just something to note. Here's the one. Here's the 2. Another thing that came up, there are some guys who love this finger choil and almost don't like any other just because of how, it's small. It doesn't really take a ton away from the cutting surface. And it's just, this is very positive, this right here. When you sort of contrast that against this, they definitely went slightly more PM2-ish with this. Not quite as much. Actually, since my stretch is right here, why don't we compare this to the stretch? You see that there? The stretch is definitely a little bit more, it's got a little bit more vastness to it than this does. So they didn't go, full PM2 or full maybe P4, Police 4 with this. They just they met somewhere in the middle. It's not an enormous finger choil. It's not obnoxious. The comparison I was making, like with some of the newer features, is they kind of stayed 70% true to the original model and took 30% from the PM2. So, and I think that 30% that they took was very, very good. There's nothing about this that makes me feel like, "Oh, I wish they hadn't done this." I think it's a very worthy evolution for the Millie models. Um, and now what it comes down to is waiting for this to come out in something that's a little bit more exciting than plain Jane S30V and black G10. So I'll definitely be looking for that. But as far as buying recommendations at this point, for I'd say a majority of users and collectors, it might not be the time to quite go for this yet. these are going to become more and more already, like, I don't think you can find a 52-100 Millie out there for less than $400. You know, maybe you can, but not much. So now is the time to really, if you're looking at the original, which is still an unbelievable model, and if you want that really muted finger choil that this is so beloved for, I think this is really the time to be getting in there and gobbling up the rest of the Millies, because as all things Spyderco go, it's not going to get any better for these. You know, they're not going to be releasing many more, and the prices are just going to keep raising higher and higher. But in contrast, you look at this. This is the only one of these that's out currently, and eventually we're going to see it in crew wear. Eventually, we're going to see it probably in S110V, and like all these, much more, to me, much more exciting steels than S30Vs. So, controversy notwithstanding, that's my opinion on it. The 2 is really, really very, very good. But right now, as of 2023, summer 2023, collectors and, end users should probably still be looking at the Millies, just because they won't be around for much longer, and they are really, really, really good.